All right, Chris, you're up with the Colts pick, the topic of the day. It seems like if this is how the board's falling, what are we doing? What do you want?
Listen, I'm going corner here.
All right, welcome into the Third and Wrong YouTube channel. We got a great video today, and we are going to be focusing on the Colts. I got two big talking heads from Colts Twitter on with me, Mr. Absolutely and Mr. Dropballs Pod, or Chris Lou, however you guys want to call him. So, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
I'm good, man.
chilling.
I'm good. Just
Yeah.
Good to
Sunday
hear.
fun day.
yep.
Yeah, you're outside on your deck because it's not winter
Yeah.
anymore.
Yes, sir. 80-something degrees. I live all the way on the 5th floor, so I'm all the way at the top. I love the view from here.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we here in Utah, we just got like record snow for like the last like 30 something years. We have like flood warnings, and yeah, it's a mess over here, but I'm glad you got some 80-degree weather to enjoy.
Yeah, man. It's about
Yeah, I
time.
wish I had some 80-degree weather over here too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're coast to coast with this video.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like 50 over here in Seattle, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like it. So, so this video, we're going to be focusing on the Colts. I mean, we'll actually do a mock draft of the whole first round for you guys as well. But yeah, so we'll get into this video with the mock draft, and then we're going to be talking about the Colts' second round options, because that's also a really high value pick for us. And then we're going to be talking a little bit more into detail about the quarterbacks at hand at number 4, the likely selecting spot for the Colts. And then, we might get into more conversations, just how it goes, but we'll just hop into this video. So to start off this video, we are going to be starting with a mock draft of the first round here. I have PFF pulled up, and we are going to be doing no trades because I'm broke and I'm not paying for the PFF subscription right now. But we're going to just maybe we'll just assign each other, whoever takes first, second, and third, and we'll just go in like an order like that. And we'll just try and draft how we would draft, not necessarily a prediction here. So, who wants the first pick? Is either of you really dying to have the first pick?
Oh, man. I don't know. I feel like if I take the first pick, there's going to be some Frank Reich hate thrown in there. I don't know if I want that responsibility.
I'll take the first pick. Take the first pick.
I'll take 2, and then you'll take 3. So just in the video order, that also makes sense. So we'll just do it that way. All right. So Chris, who would you want here at your first pick if you're the Carolina Panthers? Unless you want to do this one as what you think will happen.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna do it kind of like what I think is gonna happen. I think they're going to go Bryce Young at number 1. And honestly, that's probably who I would take too. I mean, I agree what Ab saying earlier was that, they don't really have a ton over there right now, especially because they got rid of one of the number 1 receiver at that. Their run game is okay. Like I think last season they averaged like 130 yards a game or something like that. But I think they're going to try to build around Bryce, and their offensive line is pretty decent. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's the way they're going to go is Bryce Young at 1.
Yeah. Just to add on to that, so before Frank Reich came out and said what he did about Russell Wilson, I was of the impression that I think Frank Reich would love to have a Bryce Young because, yeah, he's only like coached taller quarterbacks, and obviously everyone loves to have a taller quarterback. It makes things a lot easier. But if I'm Frank Reich, or at least how I've seen Frank Reich work, he really doesn't put a whole lot of things outside of his reach. And I think Bryce Young is kind of one of those guys where he'll overlook the size for him. So I think that has a real good chance of happening here. I also will do a pick where I feel like this is more of what I think will happen. And I think if you're the Houston Texans, they're going to be going with CJ Stroud. I think they're going to look for a little bit more of a system quarterback kind of deal, where I think CJ Stroud has a lot more than just that. But if you're looking for someone that you put in on the job, he's going to hit the throws that you want him to hit, manage the game the way that you want, and maybe give you a little bit of something extra. I think he's a great option for the Texans to do that.
And I mean, I think those are some great picks for the first two. And honestly, I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
If Carolina could go C.J. Stroud, and then Houston will go Bryce Young, and I don't think either one of those will be a bad pick for either one of them because they're the clear cut QBs 1 and 2. So those are great first set of picks. My concern with both of them is the fact that they won't have much around them in order to be successful, but they're not expected to be successful right out the gate anyway. So they're good foundational pieces.
Yeah.
Number three, the only correct choice here is Will Anderson,
Yeah.
but I have a strong feeling, I have a really strong feeling that they're gonna go Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson. I feel like they're gonna
Interesting.
go for one of the upside defensive linemen instead of taking Will Anderson. But what I would do is take the guy who's ready to go day one. And I had the same argument for last year with Aiden Hutchinson versus Walker, and I was like, I would have gone Aiden Hutchinson 99 out of 100 times.
Yeah. So you want to lock that in then, Will Anderson here?
Will Anderson, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right, Chris, you're up with the Colts pick, the topic of the day. It seems like if this is how the board's falling, what are we doing? What do you want?
Listen, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going corner here. Now,
Yeah, we need Christian Gonzalez that bad.
Oh man.
nah, I'm going. I'm going with who I would personally pick here, and it's not a knock on the other guy, but it's just who I prefer at this moment. I'm going Anthony Richardson at 4. I know
That's
it's early, but
it's a weird way to pronounce Will Levis. No, go on. Yeah, sorry, go on. No, I was cutting you off. My bad, my bad.
nah, you good. I was just saying, I want the younger guy. He's raw. We know that, but he has tremendous upside, and it's about getting to that upside for him. And with Shane, Jim Bob, and Cam Turner, I would love to believe that they have a plan in place for him to be successful and to be able to reach that upside that he has, that we all know he has because of the athleticism and the arm talent and everything. So um just just with Shane, man, like the quarterbacks he's worked with and what he's been able to do with those quarterbacks, I feel comfortable with Richardson. So yeah, so I'm going there at 4.
All right. Yeah, I can't really hate on that too much. All right. So Seattle Seahawks, and for Colts fans, there, we're gonna be talking about that pick a lot more later on in the video. So we'll definitely get some thoughts on there. But yeah, so with the Seattle Seahawks, um, I think that this is just one of the more interesting ones because the Seahawks don't necessarily have too many like just pure holes on their team. I think defensive interior is probably one of their biggest ones. And I think if they are going to be, if there is a team that can work with Jalen Carter, with his supposed issues, I think Seattle is a great spot for him to go to. So I'm going to go Jalen Carter mainly because that's their biggest need right now, if you can call it a need, and arguably the best player in the draft, arguably the best defensive tackle to walk in the draft in a long time. So I'll take Jalen Carter and just clear that big gaping hole in the defensive line.
hmm And that's a great pick too, and that's also a great fit. I don't like Jalen Carter personally because of all the off the field stuff. Like I think if a player has multiple reports about his character, that's definitely a point of concern. And
That's
then
fair.
he showed up to his pro day out of shape. He couldn't finish his workout. Like those are like some serious like accountability issues. It's kind of like Alden Smith was a perfect example of that. He was supremely talented. He got drafted high, but his work ethic wasn't really that good in the when he first got into the league, and he was out of the league within a couple of years and had to work his way back. And I feel like Jalen Carter is that kind of a prospect. He still has time to turn it all around and get some good guidance, get a good role model maybe, but as of right now, I'd stay away from him because of that.
Yeah, but I think Pete Carroll can put him in a headlock and kind of solve
Yeah,
that for him. So I'm just kidding.
and the other
Yeah,
guys in the locker room too.
Yeah.
Pete loves those troubled guys. You know how Pete
Mhm.
gets down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, like,
yeah.
He'll take a chance.
well, I feel like too, like, I feel like DK as a leader, I feel like is great for the
Mhm.
Seahawks in that area too. So that's kind of where I'm like, if there's a team this high that's gonna take him, I like the Seattle
Mhm.
Seahawks to do it.
Yeah, Seattle is a great fit for him. I also think that Detroit would have been a great fit for him too. Like if he were to slip to Detroit, I think he'd be great in that locker room. I think Dan would whip him into shape day one.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't think he'd be able to get away with all those shenanigans in Detroit. But because he's off the board, I'm struggling here picking between Tyreek Wilson, or picking between Christian Gonzalez. Because I feel like if they drafted Christian Gonzalez, he'd be their like lockdown corner that they would have on the boundary day one. But if they can get Tyreek Wilson to pair with Aiden Hutchinson and the other rookie, I forgot his name, the other rookie that they had, he had
James
double digit
Houston.
sacks too. Yeah, James Houston. If
Yeah.
they can get a three-headed monster on the defensive line, that Detroit Lions defense could be ridiculous. And they have another second. I mean, they have another first-round pick, and corner is pretty deep this year. So I'm gonna have to go with Tyreek Wilson.
All right, I like it. I like
Yeah.
Tyree Wilson too here because I mean James Houston is good and all. I actually am gonna brag a second here because I had him on one of my like hidden gems last year.
Mhm.
Because I heard him from some other content creator and I was like okay and I was like I was sold on him from his tape. I just really liked his tape.
Where did he play?
Jackson State with Dion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
and and he was just like everyone talked about him, like they loved him down there. So I was like, okay, I think I kind of like this guy. And anyways, so that's a little bit of a humble brag there. But I feel like with Houston, like I think you got something great out of him. I just don't expect what he did this year every single year. And I feel like with Tyree there, with Aiden Hutchinson, you get more of that prototypical. All right, like this is the guy. This is the Jadavion Clowney. This is the
Mhm.
all the other elite edges that you
In the
really
Miles
want.
Garrett mold.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the big, long, lanky guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Chris, I think you're up here with the seventh pick, the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said Oakland. Where are you
Yeah,
going?
right. I always do that too.
Oh yeah.
Um, man. So part of me wants to go QB here, go Will Levis to Las Vegas. But at the same time, I know they gave Jimmy a 3-year contract, but I think most of the money is up front. So
Mhm.
really it's kind of like a 1-year contract with 2 years that they can push some money to if they need
Yeah,
to.
like two loose
Uh,
years.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So but they also need offensive line. So that's another thing too. Like they need offensive line help. So I'm kind of stuck with those two. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go Will Levis here at 7 for the
All
Raiders.
right. Will
I
Levis.
think he'll work good with Josh McDaniels. I I think he'll work good with Josh McDaniels.
That'd be a pretty sick combo.
Yeah, and
Well,
then
and
you got Adams too. So
yeah,
Mhm.
I was just about to bring that up. That's funny.
Mhm. Adams, you got Renfro, Jacoby Myers. Like you have like really really good route runners that'll make it easy for you to find them because they'll get open.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is an interesting pick here for the Atlanta Falcons because I feel like with the Atlanta Falcons, it's you could go quarterback, but kind of the quarterbacks are gone now. It's a little too high for like a Hendon Hooker or whoever else you're going with. And they're relatively well set in a lot of areas, other than wide receiver. I kind of feel like Drake London is like their only option there, and Kyle Pitts. I think he's a great tight end, but he hasn't really produced much other than just yards, which is good. But
Mhm.
like he's not the world beater that he kind of looked like he was coming into the league.
Well,
Um,
they added Jonnu Smith and I think
yeah,
Corey
Johnu.
Davis.
I
Yeah, I
think
think
Corey
Corey Davis
Davis
went to
is
Atlanta too.
really because I don't know if I've seen that one yet.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, but go
no,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
you're
Yeah, go ahead.
good, you're good. So here, I would love to go wide receiver, but I still feel like wide receiver is something that you can get later on too. I'm just talking my way through this one. Um, there's so many good options here because I feel like Paris Johnson would be nice, but they have pretty good bookend tackles. Um, you know what? I'm gonna go something I haven't really seen yet, and I'm gonna go Jackson Smith and Jigba here.
Oh, that's spicy.
I haven't seen that. I don't think he's my wide receiver one either. But the fit there, you have the Drake London, who's your big, catch over anyone dude, and then Jackson Smith and Jigba's your do everything else dude, and I really like that mainly because if you look through their roster, they do have a lot of just at least starter level players in the rest of their roster, and there isn't
Mm-hmm.
really anyone else here that I would say can outproduce what Jackson Smith and Jigba did in college, and I really like that. So I'm gonna go JSN here, Atlanta. I don't know if that's necessarily spicy, but it is for me. So
I mean, I think it's spicy because
yeah,
they do have a handful of like receiving weapons there, not necessarily wide receivers, but they have Cordero Patterson who can also be used as a receiver. So like they have a couple bodies there. So adding an explosive element to that, like JSN, like on an underneath route, he could take that 60, 65, 70 yards. That's something that would make that offense spicy. And Arthur Smith is a great play designer. Great play designer.
yeah. No, I think that would be really interesting to see. But I think you're on the
Mm-hmm.
clock now here. Who would you want for
Yes,
the
sir.
Chicago Bears?
Oh, Chicago Bears. It's gotta be Peter. Gotta get me Peter. Get my man
Skaronski?
Justin
He
Fields
get-
some help on the O line, please. Got
Gotta go
to.
offensive line here.
Oh
Got to.
Yeah,
man,
man.
I like it.
Like the only other pick aside from that would have made sense would have been JSN if he would have been available because you want that familiarity between weapon and receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And like we saw with the Bengals a couple years ago, they went Jamar Chase, the explosive weapon, over the left tackle, and the explosive weapon ended up paying off.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a similar. JSN is not Jamar Chase, but he would provide them with like a consistent, explosive third down element from the slot. That would be a great pick.
Ooh, I agree
Yeah,
with you there.
Uh, Peter's a great second option though. He definitely needs O line help.
It's very fair. All right, Chris, you're up here with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. So with the Eagles,
Philly.
where I'm going to go right here, um, I'm going to go Kalijah Cansey. They
Interesting.
lost some. They lost
Ooh.
some of their interior D line, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick Kalijah Cansey right here.
Can't hate on that too much.
Mm-hmm.
That is more in line with what the Eagles would do in this situation too. You get killed with any pick though. If you pick someone for the Eagles, you get killed no matter what it is.
Yeah, because they're not supposed to be picking there.
All
Yeah.
right. I mean, hey, but this is a luxury pick though, so you can't be mad at whoever they drive. Because
Yeah,
that
that's a
drafting
fact.
is an extra pick.
Yep, that's a fact.
Yeah. All right. I got the Tennessee Titans, mortal enemies, number what 2 at this point. Um, let's see here. I mean, it would be nice for them to get out of the quarterback situation that they're in, but there's really no upgrades at this point. Um, I'm really down on Quentin Johnson. I don't know if I've told both of you all of that, but I don't think he's a first round guy in my eyes.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that. Like I was gonna ask you because just now I thought you said that you were high on him, but you said the opposite.
No,
So
yeah.
I'm not understanding why so many people are saying that he's a like he's a surefire first rounder or he's like first round talent.
Well, I think the way that you could convince me is if you were to say this is a Debo Samuel role that you're drafting for, or um, someone that is a yak guy. But the way I see him like a N'Keal Harry, a Laviska Shenault, where he's a little bit too big for that Debo role. He's not as fast for that kind of type, and he just has trouble catching the ball for a wide receiver. Like he has a lot of the other skills that you need, but he struggles at the catch point. Like Josh Downs in North Carolina has like 6 inches less to work with, and he's 40% better at it. And you can go to almost any other wide receiver. Most of them in this draft have a better catch point. And then just everything else, it's just like he was just the better athlete on the field, I feel like, and with his size and whatnot. If you're getting an A.J. Brown, if you're getting a Debo Samuel, or even a Treylon Burks, like I get that, but I just don't even think he matches up with them just in catching the ball. So
he's not even physical enough, like in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because every time I watch him play, like my comp for him is Kevin White. And it's like he's a tall, lanky guy, and he knows how to get deep because of his natural like athletic ability. But he's not really good as a wide receiver. Like he's good as a he gets big plays and he makes big chunk plays. But when he goes against like guys who are like legit at corner, like DBs who put hands on him, he doesn't look the same at all.
Yeah.
He's a 4-4 guy. Yeah, I was gonna say like he's a 4-4 guy. He can get yak and stuff like that. Like the underneath stuff, and then like kind of break it like on the crossing routes, and then take it to the house. He can do that. But the thing is, like y'all were saying, down the field, when you want the 50-50 balls, it's more like 30-70 with him, because he's not going to attack. He's not going to attack it. He's not going to attack the ball, and he catches with his body. So that's another thing too. Like he's a body catcher.
He would be basically what Christian Watson was for the first 6 weeks of the season. Like that's like his career, because he just big fast dude, but like Christian Watson wasn't catching anything either.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I've seen guys like Zay Flowers have like be better at the catch point than Johnston was. And I'm like, how is Johnston being projected as a first round wide receiver? He's not making like DeAndre Hopkins catches. He's not making like Mike Wallace catches even. Like he's not doing any of that crazy stuff. It's a lot of jump balls, a lot of throw him dump offs, and he takes it 60-70 yards. But it's like like stuff like that, like it looks nice, but if you can't put technique behind it and make plays consistently, like you're gonna be like a flash in the pan. Like every once in a while you're gonna make a play.
So I'm going to be a little spicy again here, I think, if I'm kind of viewing this right. So we got Treylon Burks over in Tennessee, but what if we added a Jordan Addison into Tennessee? Because I was looking through the roster, like they do have some needs offensive tackle. They kind of have some people there. They got some people in the offensive line a little bit, and the other parts of their needs on defense. Feel like you can get serviceable players in there pretty quick, but I feel like with a wide receiver, it's a position of extreme value right now, and they have Treylon Burks and then Kyle Phillips out of UCLA. They just don't really have much there, and so you have to add that in there. So I think Jordan Addison, he's a little bit more of that Corey Davis that they left, not Corey Davis exactly, but Treylon Burks has a specific role, and I feel like Jordan Addison can complement him really well. Like a Robert Woods, I guess, a little bit more like him. Yeah. But, yeah, I like Jordan Addison there for me.
Yeah, he'd be the technician there.
I wouldn't want to play Jordan Addison twice a year, but that's just me, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. Yeah. Let's see. We got Houston,
let me scroll down here.
I mean, because it's the Houston Texans, I'd go with best corner available, Weatherspoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, pair him with Stingley. You got those two guys, and then you have Petra, I think his name is, the safety.
Yeah, Jalen Petrie.
Yeah, Jalen Petrie. Yeah, that's a solid defensive backfield right there, and I'm pretty sure D'Amico Ryans will love that.
Yeah. No, that
I don't want to play that 2 times a year. I don't want to play that 2 times a year.
Yeah. But I guarantee you Steichen will find a way to put somebody out there one-on-one to make a play.
I was going to say, we got Anthony Richardson ready to truck all 3 of those guys off the edge. So,
hey, man.
That's a fact. He could give somebody a concussion.
Hmm.
All right, New Orleans Saints. Chris, do you want to take this pick here for the Jets?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Jets, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna go offensive line here. Give me Paris Johnson Jr.
There we go. I mean that board fell for him really well, so that's good for the Jets.
Giannis just suffered a back injury. He is out for the remainder of the game.
Yikes.
Yup.
Yo,
Woo-hoo.
yeah, wow.
Woo! Make the East spicy again.
Hey, we got the Celtics ready to run the show, so
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think Philly's gonna make it out of the East.
yeah.
I think Philly's gonna keep up with that with the theme of the Philly teams making it to the finals.
I don't know, man. You can't trust the Sixers
I mean,
worth the
I don't
crap
trust them to
anymore.
finish. I don't trust them to finish the job. I trust them to get there though.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so I got the New England Patriots here. A lot of things on the board here. I know there's a lot of smoke about where's his face? Zay Flowers going there. I can't honestly take three wide receivers back to back to back for my picks, so I'm not doing that. But I have a little cheat sheet here that kind of helps me identify some needs, and
Mhm.
I'm going with someone. No, I'm going to go Broderick Jones. Kind of a little more prototypical than Darnell Wright would be. That's the other guy I kind of had in my mind, but I think Broderick Jones fits good size. He can kind of hold that position down for him, allow that tackle position to work itself out in a great way. So I'll take Broderick Jones there.
Day one starter.
Yeah.
Broderick Jones looked good every step of the way. His tape is great. His combine was great. His drills were great. I looked at him and I was like, oh yeah, slide that guy right in.
Oh yeah, anywhere you want. All right, you got the big old Green Bay Packers here.
Green Bay Packers. What do the Green Bay Packers needs anyway? I know they need O line. They could probably need another O lineman or two.
Yeah.
I doubt they go wide receiver again. They'll probably go. I mean, honestly, I could definitely see them taking Gonzalez, taking him the top DB.
Yeah.
That definitely seems like a Gutekunst move.
Good at Coons. Is that what you want to do here then?
Yeah, pair him with Jair Alexander.
I like it. All
You
right.
could move the dude from Georgia that they drafted last year. I forgot his name, but you could move him to the nickel.
Yeah, he's fast too. I forget his name
Yeah.
right now too. Ooh. All right. Yeah. So Chris, you got 16 Washington
Got the
Commanders. First pick for the new owner.
The left hand
yeah.
up, the Commanders.
Mm.
So right here, I think we're gonna have a little run on corners. So I'm gonna go Deontay Banks right here for the Commanders.
I
Mm-hmm.
think this is a good spot too. Yeah, Maryland, kind of a next door neighbor to the DC.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, he stays
yeah.
home pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Pittsburgh, kind of a bad fall of the board here for Pittsburgh. This run on tackles and corners right before it gets to them. That's just kind of like what they need.
But their perfect prospect is right there.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah.
I think that's who they would take, honestly, if that's how it goes. I like Joey
Yeah,
there.
some of the tackles were there.
Yep. All right, you got the Lions here again, right? I think you took Tyree Wilson earlier, so edge is kind of filled up right now.
Yeah, they definitely need a tight end, so Kincaid.
Kincaid, I like that.
Yeah.
Great receiving threat to kind of replace the homeboy. What's his name? Oh,
You said Kincaid here?
Hawkinson, yeah. Replacing Hawkinson, but yeah, Dalton Kincaid to the Lions.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Where are they going?
Tampa Bay. God dang, Tampa need everything.
Yeah.
Tampa needs everything.
I have as one of their needs defense is what I put down.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go safety here and take Brian Branch from Alabama
There you go.
Oh,
because he
nice.
can play. He can line up in the slot. You can put him back there as safety. He can do a lot of different things on that defense. So I think right there is a good
Hmm.
time to take him.
Okay, so Jalen Carter was off the board for the Seahawks earlier. And I'm looking at my cheat sheet again. We got, let's see. Let me look at who I can put on that offensive line. I would like Darnell Wright here, but maybe there's someone I could reach for. Nah, I probably shouldn't reach this far. Because I forget who their one tackle is, but I don't think they would be upset with taking Darnell Wright, actually. But let me do that. Let me take
Darnell Wright is a solid prospect.
Darnell Wright. Because I think they
Yeah.
have I think they have two good tackles, but in honesty, you get your best 5 offensive linemen on the field. I think you figure out the rest
Oh yeah,
after that.
yeah. I heard. I mean, I saw on his scouting report that Darnell Wright has played what every single position on the O line.
Oh,
He's
then
played from
perfect. I
tackle to
did not
tackle, no?
scout that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. He's played tackle to
Okay.
tackle.
Cool. All right, you got the Chargers here on the clock here. They got a few things they could do. What are you thinking they do?
Yes, sir. My dream pick for the Chargers would be for them to draft Bijan Robinson and let him loose.
Is that what you're doing?
That is my dream
All
pick for
right.
them. Yes, first round,
That's a great
21st overall
pick.
pick.
That's a
Draft
great pick.
Bijan and let him loose.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are, kind of pounding the table now. I think they're a little upset about that pick.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a snipe right there. I like that.
absolutely.
That's a great pick right there.
All right, we're gonna work on this pick as if Lamar Jackson's staying, and we don't have to worry about anything else right now.
Okay.
All right. Who did the Seahawks take again?
Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright. Okay, cool. So the Ravens, let's see. Wide receiver, edge, cornerback. That's part of some of the stuff they need. I do think they need another receiver. Right here, I'm taking Zay Flowers.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yep. Get Lamar his weapons.
Yup.
Yeah, apparently.
Get that man happy.
Did you see where he said that? He says, "Get me Odell Beckham and DeAndre Hopkins, then we'll
And
talk."
DeAndre Hopkins. I was like what? So
Yeah.
I mean that makes me think that he feels like if they do get those guys that he won't ask for as much as he was asking before. Like that's the only logical explanation because you can't ask for those two guys and then still tell them you still got to give me 231 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's not possible.
No, yeah. I mean, I think if he got those weapons, I think he'll be a little bit more flexible with what they want because it's like, okay, I can show you what I can do, and then next year you're gonna have to pay even more than that too.
Right,
So
exactly.
I think that might be a
That
kind
makes
of bet on the team, but also bet on himself. So I'd do like Zay Flowers here for the
That makes
Ravens.
sense. And
So
OBJ only got a 1 year deal, so he can just sign the deal this year, go all in, and then figure it out again next year. Next off season.
Yep.
that's fair. All right, so I'm the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm hearing a lot of smoke about a quarterback here. But the Minnesota Vikings have to strike right now, I think, because you got the Packers kind of in this realm of, is Jordan Love going to be good? You got the Lions knocking at the door of being a very promising team, and you're the de facto NFC North champions at this point. So going for a quarterback, I mean, it might work out if, Hendon Hooker's your dude, but he's got an ACL. He's like 25 years old. He's not going to see the field until he's 26 at least. So no, I do think it's good draft strategy wise to go and get him here. But I think if you're the Vikings, you got to go and do something right now. And that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at for this pick. And honestly, their defensive line is just atrocious. And they have what's his face? The dude up the middle. Starts with a D. I'm blanking on his name. Oh,
I'm not really too familiar with the Vikings roster.
yeah. It's not Delaney, but it's kind of like a girl name almost that he rocks. Daniil Hunter. Daniil
Oh,
Hunter.
Daniil
Oh,
Hunter.
Daniil
Yeah,
Yeah.
Daniil
Hunter.
Hunter.
Daniil
Okay.
Hunter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a female-ish name there, but
Yeah, because it's spelled like close to
yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah, Danielle
Yeah,
almost. Yeah, yeah.
Daniil Hunter. Yeah.
So I think Miles Murphy would make a big impact on that line because you can have him on the field, 3 downs. I think Lucas Venus would be interesting here too, but he's a little bit more raw than Miles Murphy is, and Miles Murphy does a great job with the run. Brian Bresee, he has a little bit more of that higher ceiling than Miles Murphy. Same with Nolan Smith. But I think Miles Murphy's floor right now would fit with the Vikings' needs a little bit better. And
Oh yeah.
that defensive line just needs a lot of work, in my opinion. So I like Miles Murphy here. I think Miles Murphy could be a top 15 pick as well if someone falls in love with
Oh
him.
yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I'm going more of the needs here. I think they honestly trade down, but that's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah. That seems
But
like a prime spot for them to trade down.
I mean, the only other one that could potentially be a fit there, if you're really wanting to reach, might be someone like a Mozzie Smith, but I just don't think he's that
Yeah.
dude. All right, you got the Jaguars here. I can took up some time with the Minnesota Vikings there.
Boo.
For real,
I
they're gonna
don't
be
want to draft
solid
for the
this year,
Jaguars.
man. Yeah, they're
They
solid.
they they are, and I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna hate. I'm gonna hate trying to draft Calvin Ridley in my fantasy teams. I'm gonna hate it so much.
They honestly, I was going through their team, and the amount of like true needs that they have is real little.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well because they took the entire year that they had the whole Urban Meyer fiasco to stockpile some talent, and they figured out they were very lucky because they figured out that Trevor Lawrence could really play even in that disastrous situation. So in that one off season, they just spent because why the hell not?
Yeah,
You have a young elite quarterback, so spend, put as much around him as you possibly can.
And
yeah,
help him develop.
Exactly. Yeah. They definitely did. Bringing on Marone was what did it for them.
yeah.
I mean,
Doug
I'm sorry, not
Marone.
Marone. That is Doug Marone. That's the head coach, right?
No, it's
No, no,
Doug
no. Doug
Peterson.
Peterson. Doug Peterson.
Doug
I
Peterson.
thought
Oh,
Marone
Doug.
was there in
Yeah.
some capacity though.
Yeah, I think he was like some consultant or something like that. But yeah, bringing in Doug Peterson
Yeah.
was smart for them. Um, go up to the top. Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird spot on the board because I feel like all the true first round guys, like the easy
Mhm.
first round guys are gonna. I think you can put Van Ness, Bresee, and Nolan Smith in that round, but like
Yeah.
they're not really a big need right now for the Jaguars.
Right. But I think that here the smart pick would be to get Michael Mayer.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Kind of short up the tight end spot. They
Mhm.
who's the Evan
And
Ingram?
Ingram's on his last
Yeah,
year. He
yeah.
he got tagged this offseason
Oh,
actually.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's a different dude. He's not a tight end. He's something
Well,
different.
yeah, exactly. He's a
Yeah,
big body wide receiver.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you got the Giants here on the board. Where are we going? We going QJ?
I don't think we're going QJ. With that. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. Do I want to go corner here? I feel like that's kind of early. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go corner. I'm gonna go Emmanuel Forbes right here.
Out of Mississippi
Hmm.
State. I feel
Yeah.
I
like that's
am
a fair.
worried.
His
Yeah, about
weight.
Emmanuel Forbes. Please, Silu, tell me something, please, because
Listen,
I've been
so
seeing reports about him being like a dog, but that size worries me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, his frame, he could probably put on a little bit more weight. He's at like 160. He could probably put on maybe 20 pounds to get up to 180. But he is a dog, and I mean he's a ball hawk. Like he can track the ball. Like he's probably one of the best corners at that in this draft. And then on top of
Six
that,
pick sixes.
huh?
He has six pick sixes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
pretty
he's
insane.
good. He's good with the ball in his hands, man. And
Yeah.
he's really good in man press, and he's good in the zone. So I mean, it's like you said, that size, bro. Like He's small, man. He's tiny.
I'm like 160, 160 something, like 165. That's real small. Yeah,
That man
but
is
I mean, I've
tiny,
heard
bro.
they were saying that like his pro comp was Isaiah Rogers, and I'm like, okay, well, like I've seen Isaiah Rogers play, and I know Isaiah Rogers is about that life. Like, yeah, he's a little bit light, but I know like when it comes down to like fighting for the ball, coming up and making plays. So I guess it's the same style of player.
Yeah, I mean, but I would say he's bigger because he's taller than Isaiah Rogers.
Oh
Isn't
yeah,
Isaiah
he's
like
6'1".
6 foot or like 5'11" or something like
Isaiah
that?
Rogers is like 5'9", 5'10".
So yeah, he's
Yeah,
small.
he's a
Yeah,
smaller
he's
corner.
short.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. That like, I'm with you. The size worries me. The size worries me.
Mhm.
Can't hate
All
on it
right.
too much though. I think there's some smoke to why he's rising. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Yeah.
I spent a little bit of time on this one because this is a tough spot as well. I would love to go Jahmyr Gibbs here, honestly, for the Cowboys.
Ooh.
Like that would be just such a good pick, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, they just learned their lesson with their first round running back too. Like they just cut ties with him. Like I would love to do this honestly because I think he'd be such a good back in the NFL. I think he's going to
Mhm.
really pop off this year too. Um, but one of the ones that I think would just be a great fit for the style of play that I think they kind of fit into. I think Osiris Torrance is kind of one of those guys for him because
Mhm.
I think there's a guard need right there for the Cowboys, and he's one of the best dudes. I think Steve Avila is a great guy. I just don't think he fits the Cowboys as much as Torrance might. So I'm gonna go Torrance
Mhm.
for him. That's for me. But you got a fun pick here. You got the Buffalo Bills,
Buffalo
and they
Bills.
don't really need a whole lot.
Right. Oh, and by the way, if Bijan somehow falls to 26 to Dallas, Jerry Jones will
Yeah,
run that
lock.
card up
Yeah,
himself. Yeah,
yeah.
he'll run that card up himself.
He'll fire anyone that gets in his way too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you can't poke any holes in that guy's game at all. So you can't convince Jerry that he's not a good pick.
yeah. But you,
Oh,
you
okay, so
got
they
you got the
need
Bills
DBs.
here.
Yeah. So the Bills' only pure need is DB. Where's the first corner?
I I
Cam
have
Smith is the first corner.
I have linebacker as a need personally. They just lost Edmonds up the
Oh
middle,
yeah, right. Middle
and they
linebacker.
have Milano still maybe, but he's getting old.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I have as a need, but I don't know if that's necessarily
I
what you
mean,
need to draft in the first round.
yeah, right. Yeah, because first round linebackers. I forgot who it was. Somebody posted a stat the other day. Like the first round linebackers have not been good.
Yeah, other than
Like
Yeah,
Roquan
I
historically
Smith.
saw
speaking,
that. Yeah, I
yeah,
saw that.
historically speaking, they have not been good. So I mean, I would say go with Cam Smith
You like
at
Cam Smith?
corner. Yeah, I like Cam Smith.
I like Cam Smith a
Yeah,
lot.
solid player. Go
Honestly,
ahead.
like I think once Poyer or the other one, I'm blanking on his name,
Micah Hyde.
Hyde. Yeah, I think when either of them eventually retires and moves teams, I can see him being the safety back there because I really like watching his zone coverage snaps.
Oh
Anything
yeah.
of him in the zone,
Mhm.
I love, and I think he would be good anywhere on the field in that capacity.
Mhm.
And that kind of fits the DB rather than a cornerback or a safety. I think Cam
Right.
Smith can play
Exactly.
anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. He has that like hybrid body.
Yeah. All right, you
Yeah.
got a fun pick here as well. The Cincinnati Bengals, another team without a true need, but a lot of things that they can do in the first round.
Yeah. So well, we already got the tight ends, Kincaid and them are gone. All right, cool. So right here, oh man. I'm gonna go Brian Breesy right here.
Brian
Brian
Breesy,
Mhm.
Brees. Yeah.
I like
I
it.
think his name is pronounced Bressy.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
I think
really
I
know.
think it's
I've
pronounced Bressy.
I've heard Breesy the most, so
Yeah. Or Bressy. One of them.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure his name will come back up and he'll correct us,
Yep.
or somebody will find out.
Yep. Okay, so Brian Breesy here for the Bengals. Lock it
Mhm.
in.
Yep.
All right, and then This is so that's me. The New Orleans Saints here. Let's kind of follow. Okay, so we got DT as kind of a need there, defensive tackle. Mozzie Smith would be interesting, but I'm gonna go. Let's kind of clean up. We're leaving some people on the board here a little too much. I'm gonna go Lucas Van Ness here. I think he fits his. I think he fits their size really well, and they have a need on the defensive line as well.
They do.
All right, and
And
then we
I
got
am
the
doing
Eagles.
Philly. Yeah. Will McDonald. Beef up the trenches.
Over Nolan Smith.
Yes. I
Okay,
personally would draft him over Nolan Smith. Yeah.
that's fair.
But I feel like Philly would draft Nolan Smith over Will McDonald.
Yeah, they like their Georgia players, that's for sure.
Yeah, they would put him next to Jordan Davis.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Kobe Dean too.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah. And they love those athletic high upside guys.
Imagine if they get Jalen Carter and then Nolan Smith and just
Oh man.
Georgia defense
And,
2.0.
yeah. The Georgia Eagles.
Yeah,
And then find a way to get Keely Ringo or something.
yeah.
Yeah, nah, that would be insane. That would be too much.
Too much. All right, last pick here. Chris, you lucked out and you're picking for the Super Bowl champs. Where are we
Let's
going?
go. So, they just lost their left tackle. They replaced him with Jawan Taylor from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I still believe they need to replace their right tackle, so I'm going Anton Harrison here from
Okay.
Oklahoma.
There we go. All right. So I like that for our first round here. I feel like it kind of goes against what I typically do in a good way because I don't usually go wide receivers that high, but I'm starting to feel like that could definitely happen. Any other kind of spots here that you kind of just like feel like might actually happen on the draft day? Because I feel like a lot of this is getting we're getting closer to the draft. It's starting to kind of feel a little bit more like, okay, here are the spots for these guys. Here are the spots for these guys.
Yeah, I think the O-line run is very, very likely in the first round. I think we could see like a 5 to 10 pick stretch where there's like 5 O-linemen drafted, whether it's a combination of like tackles, guards, centers, or just tackle, tackle, tackle.
Yeah.
O-line play was really big in the NFL last year. So I feel like a lot of teams are going to try to shore up their O-line, and that's what Sean Payton did day one. Day one of free agency, he got 2 offensive linemen.
Yeah. And I really like that for the Broncos. When I saw that, I was like, okay, dang, they're actually going to be good this year. Shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me, I'm just like, I keep on thinking like, man, I want Nolan Smith to go higher because I really like him, but like the spots where he could go, there's just there's bigger needs I feel like than what Nolan Smith gives. So maybe he does fall out of the first round, but I'm absolutely fine with Quentin Johnston not going in the first round. I love that. But like, okay, so I did this video called My Guys, right? Like, the guys that I like in the draft that maybe don't go first round, but like I'm gonna root for. And what's his name? Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State is what people think Quentin Johnston is. And even that, I wouldn't take Xavier Hutchinson in the first round. You might talk someone into it, but like the production is just not really there. But like he is phenomenal at the catch point. He's 6'3", I think. He has yak ability as well. And I think he's everything that people want Quentin Johnston to be. And you have a better player in the second or third, or maybe even day 3, honestly. That's where a lot of people have Hutchinson. But if you watch him, he just makes some phenomenal catches, and clutch time catches too. Like no moment's too big for him. So I really like Hutchinson. But I guess that kind of brings us to where we're gonna end up going. So we're gonna do these next 3 picks to kind of get to where the Colts are, and we'll try to be we'll try to be like honest with what we think here because there's 3 picks here. So the Steelers, they went tackle. No, they went cornerback. So tackle is still on the board as a need, with Dwan Jones, and maybe even just going with like a Steve Avila, I think is a good chance here. Or Nolan Smith, Felix Anudike, Uzama, and Mozzie Smith are also on the board. What
Yeah,
are you
I
guys
think
thinking
that
here?
I think they would probably go with the other Ohio State tackle.
Dewan
Honestly,
Jones.
yeah, Dewan Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think yeah, I think they would go offensive line here. Is
Mhm.
Osiris Torrance still there?
I took him with the Cowboys.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Mhm.
right.
All right, so the Texans, they get C.J. Stroud, they get Devon Witherspoon, and I think this is where Nolan Smith might go with
Yeah.
the Niners scheme a little bit more than
Mhm.
Felix
Yeah, I can see that.
or
I agree.
Ojulari.
Ooh. I think
Uh,
Ojulari is the more solid prospect right now, but Nolan Smith for upside.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, Nolan Smith then.
Still would hate to play against both of them 2 year or 2 times a year though.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. All right. So the Cardinals, they landed Will Anderson. Is that right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Will
Mhm.
Anderson there. So they might be in need of a Steve Avila since they have some offensive line woes. Is there anyone else that kind
Mhm.
of stands out?
I
Maybe a
would either
Luke Whippler.
go
Mhm.
I would go Avila or go receiver because I mean if you're gonna get rid
I
of
was
D
thinking
Hop,
that
you
too.
really don't have anything else at receiver.
The
You
other
don't
thing
Mhm.
too is they don't really have a running back either, and Jameer
no.
Gibbs is here too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they have
Jameer Gibbs
they
is still
usually
there
run a
too.
committee though.
Yeah.
Well, actually, who's their OC?
Um, they stole someone from the Eagles, I think, with Jonathan
For the
Gannon.
offensive coordinator. Hold on,
I
I'm gonna
think.
look it up.
Yeah, look it up real quick. But I can see wide receiver. I just don't see any of these guys like fitting in too well.
Right. Maybe they think that Quentin Johnston is a steal at the top of the second.
But I don't. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
yeah, I mean that's true, but you know, like the
It's
rest of the pool
Yeah.
that's left, it's thin.
Yeah. Did
their
you have
OC
a?
is Drew Petzing. Petzing.
Where
I
did
don't
he
know
come
where.
from?
Let me see. I'm waiting for it to come up. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals are gonna be a good team at all this year.
No, they have
I'm gonna
holes everywhere.
I'm gonna try and find wherever I can to pick them to get the number one pick next season because I really think they're gonna be the worst team in the league next season, bro.
Yeah.
he
Jonathan
came from
Gannon
Cleveland.
is
He came from Cleveland.
oh he came from
Ooh.
Cleveland. Oh man.
Ooh. Okay, so I'll just go kind of with maybe where I'm thinking they need to go. Let's see. I think I think Steve Avila. I think getting them just but Whippler is also pretty similar on the same level. I'm just gonna go Steve Avila. I've liked him a little bit longer. All right,
I'm
so
not mad at that.
The Colts are here. I see. This is where I would love to have Felix Uzama out of Kansas
Mhm.
State. I really like him.
Mhm.
Ojulari also. Just like the amount of edge
Mhm.
talent here. Adebawore is also kind of a Ballard guy for sure. And
Mhm.
that's the kind of direction I want the Colts to do. Is kind of more of that edge guy. But I think another guy that gets brought up a lot for the Colts is Julius Brents.
Julius Brents. Mhm.
Um,
Question:
yeah,
how likely would you say that Ballard trades out of this pick right here, 35,
I think it's pretty
trades down?
likely.
It's
Especially if you
likely.
got Quentin Johnston on the board, there might be someone that wants to jump up. You
Mhm.
still have some good wide receivers, and then players like Jameer Gibbs might start to feel a little bit worth it to trade up.
Mhm.
So I could definitely
Because
see it.
I feel like a guy like Julius Brent, where his ADP is around in the 50s, but I feel like we could probably get him at like 42, 43 ish, trade back a little bit, get a couple more assets and things like that. And this is a deep edge class, so I think it would
Hey,
be
we
easy to
could
find another,
we
go
could
ahead.
also add into our redwood forest of tight ends and get Darnell Washington
That is very true.
and just
That
run
is
four tight
very
ends
true.
out there.
Imagine.
Yeah, just pure power. But oh boy, I would love to trade down, but in the case that we don't, there's a lot of people talk about Diane Henley, kind of in the
Oh
same mold as a
yeah.
lot of the linebackers that we've drafted.
Hmm. He
Um,
wore number one, right?
Diane Henley.
Yeah, he wore number 1 when he was at Washington State, right?
Maybe.
Because
I'm
I'm
not.
I'm trying to think if I'm thinking of the right guy.
Probably. I assume you are because Washington State doesn't really have too many prospects.
Right.
But also like Tui Pulotu from
Mhm.
USC is fun to watch.
He's good.
Getting Luke Whippler makes it feasible to move on from Ryan Kelly, who had kind of
Mhm.
an off year, and we know
Right.
Ballard loves the Ohio State guys.
Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, as a matter of fact, because in this specific situation, we drafted Anthony Richardson. I wouldn't be mad at drafting Darnell Washington at 35 because if we're drafting AR, that means we're gonna be running the ball like a lot.
Yeah,
So we're gonna need some big bodies up front. We're gonna need some mismatches and play action. And having 3 tight ends that are all like 6'7", that
he's
would
just
be some like
road
some
grading.
dominance right there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to take him that early though at 35?
Right, and yeah, that's the other thing
Well,
too.
there's some
I don't think
smoke
taking
that
him
Yeah.
at
people want him
35
in
would
the
be
first
worth it.
round.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I doubt he's gonna go in the first round
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But I definitely think corner would be a solid pick here,
Hey,
and
we
I think
get
getting a corner at 35 would be great. Oh, is Ringo still on the board?
who? Ringo. Yeah, Ringo's
Yeah,
still
Keely
on
Ringo's
there.
still on there.
Ringo would
Jordan
be a great pick at
Battle.
35.
I think he'd be great.
Hmm.
Let me
But
kind of see.
Jordan Battle is more of a safety though, because I feel like
Yeah, he's like
Jordan
a safety
Battle sometimes
linebacker.
gets lost. Yeah, he gets lost in coverage sometimes.
Yeah. The other guy. Another guy that's kind of been on my guys is Caillou Blue Kelly. I don't think we'd take him here, but I really like him.
Yeah, for
But
I like Eli Ricks too.
the other guy that I really like, and I know it probably just wouldn't fit, is A.T. Perry. Like we already have those 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers, so I know it doesn't really fit, but I like A.T. Perry a lot. Nathaniel Dell would be a very interesting pick here too,
Oh man,
because just the amount of speed that guy has, you can do a lot
hmm
with him. Like,
lightning in a bottle.
Anthony Richardson scrambling around and Nathaniel Dell is 80 yards down the field. That ball's getting there.
Oh my
So,
God, yeah, yeah,
Or
it's getting there.
I mean Jalen Hyatt, but that's kind
Jalen
of early
Hyatt.
for him too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Honestly, I think Cedric Tillman is going to be a better player at the next level than Jalen Hyatt.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Tillman
Yeah.
was the guy. Tillman was the guy for Tennessee, but then he got
Hmm.
hurt, and that's when Jalen
Right.
Hyatt kind of took off. But
Right.
Tillman was supposed to be that guy, and he doesn't run a full route tree, but he runs a more complex route tree than Jalen Hyatt does.
Than Jalen Hyatt. Yep.
And he's a true
I
X
agree.
receiver, like he can beat man press
Hmm.
and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
So that's yeah. I think we trade down. I mean that the thing is you
Hmm.
have to get someone to trade down, obviously, but I think this is a great trade down spot. But if we pull the trigger, I would love to have Felix. I think I feel like even some of these edge prospects like BJ, Felix, and maybe someone else like Adewale might have higher
Hmm.
ceilings than some of the edges that went in the first round of Kwity Paye's draft.
Oh
And
yeah.
we have Kwity Paye, but and I love Kwity Paye, but we don't have really a true like fourth
Dominant edge.
quarter edge, and that's the one position that Ballard just can't draft. So I feel like if we were able to strike on a Ojulari who has
Hmm.
he has the more prototypical look of it,
Hmm.
Felix might be a little bit bigger. I think he's more of an defensive end in some aspects, but yeah, there's a lot that can happen. Edge, corner, and
Or we can go possibly Cody Mock if he's still there.
Cody
Oh
Mock,
yeah.
The tackle
Yeah. That was
guard
another thing I
from
was thinking of
North.
too. Yeah.
the
Getting an
ugly
interior
dude.
lineman at 35.
Yeah, the ugly
Wait,
dude.
give me 1 second, gentlemen. I'll be right back.
So, kind of had a little bit of a reason to cut there for a second, but we are back and we are going to be talking about Jim Irsay's tweet today. I have it pulled up here saying, for the 2023 draft, we have many options. With the number 4 pick, we could stay put and take a quarterback, or trade up and take a quarterback, or trade down and maybe take a quarterback, or not. Smiley face. All options on the table, but we like our position and are very excited. Fire up. So immediately on that, it kind of reminds me of, I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but that interview with, I think Shane Steichen, where they were talking about things, and Irsay said, "Oh yeah, we kind of like that guy out of Alabama," and then Ballard's like, "Whoa, we can also trade down and don't tell anyone what we're doing." And so, anyways, what do you guys think this is smoke? Do you guys think this is some weight behind it? I mean, obviously, he kind of just said the obvious, we can do whatever we want, but
Nah, I don't think this is a smoke screen. Like, there's no. All he said is we can do the obvious.
I'm not really sure that those guys would let the world know what they're doing at all. So
yeah, there's no reason.
As many options open as possible. Yeah, that's why they keep telling people, like, remember, Shane said he's gonna tailor the offense around whoever we draft. Not necessarily that we have a type or that we're looking for someone or we have a specific prototype or anything like that. But, given who Jim Irsay and who I believe Chris Ballard is, I think that they've already mapped out every possible scenario. I think they've mapped out a scenario where they have a chance at all 4 of the top 4 quarterbacks. I think they have a scenario where they have a chance at 3 of the 4, where they have a chance at 2 of the 4. I think they also have a contingency plan for if there's, for some weird reason, there's only one of them left and they don't like that one person. I don't think that they're taking this decision lightly at all. I don't think this is something where they're just like, oh yeah, we can do whatever we want to do, even though technically it's true. But I don't think that they're going into the draft, that unprepared. But Jim Irsay also knows what he's doing. He likes to throw a little bit of bait out there. He likes to rile up the fans. And you can't tell me Jim Irsay doesn't like riling up the fans on purpose.
No, yeah.
Some of the things that he says and some of the at the direct timing of his tweets, I'm like, oh yeah, this man knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing I wanted to add in that too is look at who he has first here. He got Anthony Richardson pictured first, and then we got C.J. Stroud, and then Bryce Young, and then Will Levis. So I think he kind of is tipping his hand to who the top 4 is for him. I'm just kidding.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's a smokescreen. I think he's just stating the obvious, man. He's just stating we can do all of these things, and he even threw out what we could trade back, and he threw out a little, or take no QB and threw a little emoji there, I was saying, he loves to rile up the fans, and I'm here for the chaos, to be honest. I would be cool with us trading back from 4 and just seeing Twitter explode with Colts fans. But I think he's just definitely explode. I think we honestly, the Colts brass, I honestly think they already have the pick. I think they know where they're going. It's just a matter of how the board falls. And they already took it to Jim Irsay, and that's why Jim Irsay tweeted it out today. I think that's what that was. Is that, okay, we know what we're doing. So we could go either one of these ways, but we know what we're doing. Y'all just know we could go either one of these ways.
Exactly.
So these replies are pretty great too. But yeah, I think that kind of puts us into that conversation. I think we've kind of talked about it from what I get vibes wise. I feel like we both kind of, or not both, but all 3 of us kind of have the same top 2, unless I'm wrong. Do we all have kind of the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud as top 2?
Yeah, top 2.
Chris, are you on that train with the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud top 2?
Yeah, okay. For sure. My bad. I just heard some thunder. Yeah, that's not normal in Washington. So
yeah,
so I was kind of confused what was going on.
Yeah, you're good. So that kind of brings us to, okay, so if one of those 2 are on the board, I think that's kind of where the Colts are looking for as well, just because the level of play is already better. But we get to say pick 4. And the Cardinals took a defensive player. Who cares? We have Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. Where are your guys' this is what I want the Colts to do on that? Is it Anthony Richardson or Will Levis at this point? Subject to change.
So So for me is AR is Anthony Richardson. But to be honest, if we took Will Levis, cool. Because I mean, they both have upside. The only thing is that of course Will Levis is further along. By the time he starts his rookie season, he'll be 24. But so I would hope he's further along in his QB maturity at this point. But he still has some stuff to work on, and at 24, that's kind of alarming. And then AR will be 21 his rookie season, and so he still has a lot to work on. But I would rather choose the younger prospect with the high upside than the older prospect that still has high upside, but we still have to work to get there, and you're already 24 years old. You're already late in your development pretty much. But like I say, either way it goes, I would be okay with Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. I just want us to be able to win, man. Like I just
Yeah.
want us to get back to winning. That's really what I want. And if we get a signal caller back there that can go out there and do the job, then I'm happy with it. But like I said, my preference is AR, but I'd be good with either one of the two, to be honest.
Okay.
As far as me, my preference, if I could choose any quarterback, it would be Bryce Young. I would love for us to get Bryce Young, but if we can't get him or CJ, my third guy is, and it's extremely close. It's Will Levis for me, but that's for some of the reasons that Silu said. Will, like, I would like to think that because he's an older prospect, that he's a more mature prospect and that he's a little bit further along, like as a passer than AR is, because he's had a couple more years to get some college game experience. Even when he was at Penn State, he didn't beat out Sean Clifford, but he was still, gaining valuable reps, and he was still, like, practicing with those guys, and he was still competing with those guys. And even Joe Burrow was saying, competition like that, like, it's important because it shows you where you are, it shows you where you need to get to, and it shows you, like, what kind of things that you need to work on to be a better player. And I think that when he transferred over to Kentucky, I think he showed some of those things. He led Kentucky to a 10-win season for the first time in God knows how many years. He led the SEC in completion percentage against the blitz. So, like, things like that, like, I think things like that translate well to the next level. So that's why he's my pick. But if we drafted AR, I would have just as much confidence. But I would have more confidence in Shane Steichen as, being the person who's the quarterback whisperer, who's worked with different styles of quarterback, and who just came from working with a quarterback who's a similar style to AR. So, like, that gives me a lot of confidence where, he'll be able to draw up some simple plays for him, some plays that don't require him to make 3, 4, 5 reads, where it's like he can use his athleticism to put himself in position to make plays instead of, like, forcing him to be a pocket passer or forcing him to be, a natural drop back, throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. But I would just, have a little bit of hesitation when it comes to AR, because I feel like his style would mean that we would have to literally the next few drafts go all in. We would have to, like, push everything to the middle of the table and draft as many, linemen, weapons, defensive players, and make sure that, like, the windows for AR to make mistakes are so small that if he does make the mistakes in the games, our team doesn't feel it. Or like the offense doesn't really feel it as much because we have a defense that can create pressure, turn the ball over, and then we run the ball, run the clock, take some deep shots because we know he can throw it 95 yards. So, take some deep shots here and there. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about either one of those guys, honestly.
So I like with what you guys are saying. And, like, I would just love to be in the war room or, like, just the scouting room in when these conversations take place. Like, I would pay tickets just and sign whatever NDA possible, just so I don't, share any secrets or whatever. But I would just love to, like, hear, Ballard, all these different scouts talk about these players and the scenarios that they see with them, because to me that, like, it feels like it's yeah, you're splitting hairs. I mean, obviously there's going to be a quarterback that is probably a little bit higher for them or whatever, but I feel like for me, I'm going to kind of walk you through how I, like, view these players. So Will Levis to me is someone that had to transfer out because Sean Clifford held the job down at Penn State. And, like what you're saying, he, took what he learned there and then he kind of became his own player at Kentucky. He had a very solid offensive coordinator and some NFL level talent around him to function. He had some good offensive linemen that got drafted. He had Wandale Robinson, who was drafted, and I feel like there's probably some more people there too. Anyways, that offensive coordinator left, and they had kind of a, I wouldn't say inept because he could probably do a way better job than I could, but they just had a coordinator that was too predictable for their team and everything like
They
that.
essentially had a downgrade.
Yeah,
They
a
essentially had
downgrade
downgrade, yeah.
at a coordinator, and he was still rocking hot all the way up until he had this odd injury. I think it was either on his shoulder or ankle. And since then he just wasn't able to get much done. But those games beforehand, he was still rocking pretty good. And then with Anthony Richardson, phenomenal start to his year, his first real start against Utah. Made some Patrick Mahomes even better than what Patrick Mahomes could do. Like I don't see Mahomes doing a jump shot fake to into a 180 and then throw a dart to some guy. Yeah, like that's beyond Patrick Mahomes too. And everyone's like, oh shoot, this guy's real. And then it was just like a long season of just highlights and just low valleys of play. And it makes it hard for me to want to, let me kind of move this here. It makes it hard for me to want to really invest into him. And this is where I'm going to talk about the two players because both of them run fast and throw the ball pretty far. They're both relatively strong, good size, really athletic guys. Both have kind of accuracy concerns to the point where it's you're not Bryce Young and you're not CJ. I kind of mix those two together. And now it's a matter of, okay, who is who's going to become, who has the highest ceiling and who has the highest floor and what's most important. And I feel like with Will Levis, and the other thing too that's similar, they're both cocky as hell. Like Will Levis definitely had some quotes in his combine presser. And Anthony Richardson was like, yeah, I throw passes, but they get dropped a bunch, and I don't care if I throw hard. Like, just catch it. Like, Will Levis saying that, people would be kind of pissed about it too. So I think they're very similar players, but I think if I was going to go with where I'm like, okay, this is what I would do if both of them are on the board. I would go Anthony Richardson first, and then if Will Levis is the only one left there, I would still be happy about it because I think Will Levis has a lot of good tape already, and I think he has good leadership. His just vibe on the field, I think, elevates players around him and people want to play for him, and that's extremely important at the quarterback position. Just ask Zach Wilson, and so I would go Anthony Richardson because I view Steichen's realm is he can elevate, and the more tools that you can present and the more years on his career that you can present, the better in the situation. So I would go Anthony Richardson. I know that's kind of like a longer response, but that's just kind of like, I feel like the two quarterbacks are very similar. They're just different on their ages and the experiences that they had in college.
And one of the things that makes this process like so much more difficult is because when it comes to like their testing, like that S2 cognitive testing thing, you would think that you'd be able to separate them like that, but it's either the guys who test really well on that, their tape isn't, all of that good. Like for example, the top one was Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is QB1. Number 2 was actually Will Levis. Will Levis was second there. And then AR was third, and I think CJ Stroud fell a couple spots underneath, I think, Hendon Hooker and someone else. So it's like where they lack in tape, they make up for it in the cognitive testing, and then vice versa. So it's like you really don't know which one of these guys will be better than the other. You don't know who's gonna separate from the pack. Like, it's so difficult to choose one.
And that's why sticking at 4 probably made more sense to Chris Ballard. Is why trade an arm and a leg when I can pick the leftovers essentially.
Right, because imagine if Carolina stayed at 9 and something happened where there was like a run of, let's say, defensive ends or a run of corners at the top, and then all of a sudden the Panthers are sitting at 9 and they can choose between AR and Levis because those two guys dropped. Like, how much better of a situation would that have been? Then they would have had DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall. They would have had a plethora of receivers and weapons for which whoever they selected to come into.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to ask you guys about, I don't know if you guys read it or gone into it much, is the Dear NFL GM's letter from Anthony Richardson. Um, the only thing that I'm gonna say, and then we can talk about it if you guys have looked into it too much, but um, I don't I don't I don't think you write a letter if you're that confident, if that makes sense. Like maybe I'm wrong in that instance, but it's like writing a letter to the homeowners, when you're trying to buy a house or whatever. That a lot of people do that, where it's like, oh, here's my sob story
Mm-hmm.
of we're
Mm-hmm.
newlyweds. We really want to we envision our family growing up here,
Right.
and that happens a
Like this
lot.
is perfect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to say Malik Willis did this. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel like there was someone else that did something similar, or maybe it
Patrick
was
Mahomes did it. Patrick
Mahomes,
Mahomes did it,
but he didn't
and
do
that's
it
why everyone's
publicly.
losing their mind. Yeah, exactly. That's why everyone's losing their mind. People are
Yeah,
attaching the Patrick Mahomes similarity to him, the fact that he put out a letter to NFL GMs. But like you said, Patrick's wasn't public.
yeah. So I mean, I like the story. I think the story is really good. Um,
Hmm.
but do you think GMs use this and say, okay, this is what we really like. This is more solidifying our guy, or is this more of
Hmm.
like this is meant to sway people's opinions? Like, what do you guys? What are your thoughts, Chris?
No, so I mean, for me, like I really don't care about it. Like I don't have a issue with him writing it. Well, also because if you go down, because I even went and looked at this too the other day. I Because it's the player tribune, so there's a lot of players in there that write these little letters or these notes or whatever, whether it's to family, friends, GMs. I think Desmond Ritter did the same thing last year, where he wrote to all
Hmm.
32 GMs. But also at the same time, these dudes have these top 30 meetings with these teams. So everything that he put in here, they've probably already
Hmm.
discussed anyway. So to me, it's not really a big deal. It's one of those things more so to where he's releasing it to the public rather than releasing it to the 32 GMs. And I know like that's how it's addressed to all 32 GMs, but I guarantee you they've already had these discussions. Like when he met with those teams, when he had dinner on his pro day, all of that other stuff,
Hmm.
these are probably things that came up in those discussions. So I'm not really tripping about it. I don't
Yeah,
really care about it. I mean, I thought there was some good stuff in there. Just there was some good like little tidbits in there, and I even posted some of those on Twitter on the timeline and stuff. But other than that, it was just like, all right, cool. You wrote a letter. Let's keep it pushing.
yeah. Well, and
47 days into the draft, or however many days left.
I feel like it kind of reminds me of Malik Willis, and I forget. I was telling one of you guys about this, but Malik Willis, when he was about to get drafted, is he had these like convenient videos dropped about him throwing
Hmm.
in the hall, 2 a.m. before his
Hmm.
combine, and then there's this super convenient, he's giving his hoodies out to some guy on the street that is homeless, and
Hmm.
great act and everything like that, but it just to me it just seemed a little bit more staged for publicity rather than to me, like, you don't have a publicity agent releasing a video of you helping out a stranger just on happenstance. So that kind of was like one of those things, but I feel like this is one of those things where if maybe you feel like the Colts are really in this battle, like kind of what we're talking about, where it's like, oh, Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, I feel like this just might be a little bit more of like if they decided Anthony Richardson, they can use this and be like, okay, well, I think we feel a little bit more confident about Anthony
Hmm.
Richardson, and also the fan bases can say, okay, we're a little bit more confident with Anthony Richardson, or vice versa. So that's kind of how I view it, as kind of just a little bit of a PR thing to make people feel like, okay, we like this guy a little bit more.
I mean, in my opinion, I feel the same way. Like it doesn't move the needle for me at all. And
Yeah.
and I think it was me and you that were talking about it last time, Bill.
Okay.
When yeah, when I was like, all of that stuff is nice and it shows that he's a good human being. And that's
Yeah.
great. That's amazing. Like you're a great guy, you're a great, son, brother, or cousin or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with what you do when you put on pads.
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with playing football. because there's been great human beings before that have come through this game, but haven't done. Tim
Hey,
Tebow
yeah, I was gonna
is
say
probably the
Tim
greatest
Tebow.
human being. Yeah, it's probably one of the greatest human beings to ever exist, but he wasn't that good of a quarterback. And at
Yeah.
the end of the
And
day, like that's how we
absolutely
gotta
trash.
evaluate it.
I
Yeah, that's how you gotta evaluate them.
think speaking of Florida quarterbacks, one of the number 15,
Oh yeah.
Tim Tebow,
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
Just
wearing number
saying.
15. But Tim Tebow, I could understand why they made the argument for Tim Tebow at the next level, because Tim Tebow was making plays consistently when he was in college. And it's not like his passing numbers were, something outrageous either, but it's like, because of how many wins that he had, like the accomplishments that he had in college, you can say, okay, well, this is the guy that we think that we can build around. But with AR, it's strictly his athleticism, and that's not something that I would bank on. But again, coaching, situation, teammates, all of that matters, and I feel like we would be a great situation for him to come into because he wouldn't have to do everything on his own. When you have a running back in your backfield that's an MVP candidate, you don't have to run the ball yourself 17 times a game. You don't have to throw the ball 35 times a game. You can hand it off 35 times a game.
Yeah.
And see
Yeah.
that, and to your point on that, I agree 100%. Because like with AR, you could be like, okay, first year, I want you to throw or until we can get you up to speed and get everything corrected, your footwork and all that other stuff, and get it consistent. I want you to throw 25 times a game. Maybe use
Mm-hmm.
your legs 8 to 10 times a game. And then we're going to hand it off the remaining, hand it off to JT or Zach Moss or whoever, the remaining time. So like we're going to have a nice little healthy balance. And we don't need you to throw 40, 50 times a game because we have a
Mm-hmm.
JT, we have a Zach Moss, and
Mm-hmm.
we can do a little bit of different things with you with your legs. Like I said, 8 to 10 times you running, QB design runs, and then just
Mm-hmm.
throw the ball about 25 times. Cool. Nice game plan to bring him up to speed until he can get those accuracy issues or the accuracy inconsistencies until he can get those more
Mm-hmm.
consistent, to where we can trust him throwing the ball 40 times a game, 30 times a game, if we need him to, if the game dictates that. Because what did Shane say? We're going to throw to score points, run to win. So,
Yes, sir.
um, it's just things like that I think we could help with AR and getting him up to speed with those, especially like I said with Jim Bob, Shane, and with Cam Turner. I like our offensive coaching staff
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to developing our quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good spot to kind of leave this discussion because that's what the Colts are worried about right now. That's what everyone's talking about. So, appreciate you guys coming on. Again, shout out to Mr. Absolutely on Twitter, Sealude at dropped balls pod, or is it drop balls
Yeah,
pod?
Drop
drop the
Yeah,
ball
balls
pod.
pod.
I can't even read what I have on there, so that's my bad. But
No, you
appreciate you
good.
guys. Appreciate you guys coming on. We're gonna be doing some more draft content and stuff like that for you guys too. So definitely look out for that. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably one of the most exciting drafts that we've had since probably Andrew Luck. So this
Yep.
is something to celebrate as far as reaping the benefits of having a terrible team last year, and now we got some hope for the future. But is there anything you guys want to say real quick before we head out?
I actually think that this is the most exciting draft that we've had since the one where we got Quentin Nelson, not the one we got Andrew Luck.
Oh yeah,
Because the one
okay.
that we got Andrew Luck, we had the number one pick, and he was literally the only pick to make there. But the one where we got Quentin Nelson, we had a top 5 pick that we traded out of, and then we got Q, we got Braden Smith, we got Darius Leonard, all in that same draft. So,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think that this draft is setting up to be one of those drafts because this is going to be the first time that Chris Ballard has gotten a chance to pick his own head coach because Frank Reich was not his pick.
yeah.
So he picked his own head coach this time, and he's going to get a chance to pick his own quarterback. So I think this is going to be a legacy defining draft for Ballard.
Yeah, it is.
Most definitely, and I
Mm-hmm.
agree with that too. And then, which I'm glad Frank Wright came instead of Josh McDaniels. I'm so happy about
Oh
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, this is going to be an exciting draft. I mean, there's a lot of talent in this draft too. Like it's a deeper draft than people really expect, and so I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to see what Chris Ballard does, man.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Well, we're gonna end it there, but before you guys hop off this video, drop a like, comment, tell us some of your thoughts on the Colts. Even if you're not a Colts fan and you stuck till this end, obviously you care enough to comment, so freaking do it.
Tell us how
But yeah,
terrible we are and how terrible our opinions are.
yeah.
We like those too.
Yeah, you can also rank who has the best beard. I put a good offer up here, but
Nah, my beard it's too low.
All right. Well, if anything else, subscribe. We appreciate it, and enjoy the off season.